Oh, there we are. The pre-show. Hello to everyone who's mosh pitting in the chat.
They're going nuts in there.
Yep, mosh pitting, whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
It's been, this is the longest we've gone with a podcast in years, I think.
We took a month off one time. In like a September type of vibe.
Okay.
A couple years ago.
Yes, we took at least a couple weeks. Did we take a month? I think I was particularly burnt out at that point.
It felt like it felt like a long time. Yeah. Like an August, September dead area.
Yeah.
If fucking Daryl can take a month, like time off. I don't know if he's taking a month off, but
does he take time off, Daryl?
I'm assuming he takes some breaks.
That sounds so much better now that you're near the microphone.
You guys could do this.
Imagine that.
I guess that.
We give it another. I'm gonna let the filter in happen for an extra 30 seconds. Just to get everyone going, get everyone riled up. Here, let me pin it. On the Twitter. Retweet it from mine. I'm here using a new MacBook.
Wow, Abby.
Exactly the same as my old MacBook. Abby's mad because I said something mean to her on Twitter. There we go. All right. Are we ready to go? Let's go. I love Abby. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. Hi, Abby. Hi, Leo. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS and is brought to you by Seat Geek. Get $20 off your first purchase with code RTRS. Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky. And Stateside Urban Craft Vodka, the official sponsor, cheers, of the Corner 3 newsletter, statesidevodka.com. Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe. On today's show, they went from first in the East to barely over 500 as the Sixers lose 5 in a row. As it turns out, Sixers still, to this day, not great without Joel Embiid, who is still out due to COVID protocols. Sixers have gone back to fining Simmo the Savage, and Mike now made a proclamation on Twitter about his desire to include Tyrese Maxey in any superstar trade. We will talk about that as well.
Lack of.
What did I say?
My desire, but my desire is
lack thereof.
Lack thereof.
Well, that's what yeah.
I don't want people to listen to the first 12 minutes of the podcast and be like, Mike wants to trade Maxey now.
Mike wants to trade Maxey. Without any further ado, Amos and the Chef.
Larry, sweetie, the man is here.
Say the name. I say the name. I say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who is deeply irritated at Zach Wheeler's lack of victory today in the NL Cy Young race. That is Mike Levin.
No, I'm not that irritated.
You're not?
I think he had a great season. I thought those other guys did as well. I also think, like, if the Phillies had the best pitcher and the best hitter in the National League, like, they should have made the playoffs.
Yes,
right?
They should be more than
they should be better. And I know that, like, Bryce was incredible and the rest of the team had like a friggin' 600 OPS, but I'm not dying for. He had a great season, good for him, but like they can't keep missing the playoffs and expect awards and shit.
Look, the point of sports is to win, and that has always been our motto here at the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast.
Winning eventually.
Yes, winning. Eventually. We did not do a weekend podcast. I am rarely the person that bags out of a podcast. But we did not do the weekend podcast because I got the COVID last week. What was it? Wednesday. So like, I don't know if you've noticed, last few weeks I've coughed on the podcast. Like I go through these seasonal allergies every year. And it's every time it changes and every time the weather changes. And I always went through this thing where I would be like, am I sick now or is it still allergies? Am I sick or is it still allergies? But during the COVID era, it becomes, is it allergies or is it COVID? And it was lasting for so long. It was allergies for a while. And then I don't know what day it was, maybe Sunday or Monday. I said to this was last week. I said to my wife, I was like, I don't know. Something's like a little off. Came home from work Wednesday, was sure something was wrong. Took an instant test at home, positive. Took a second instant test at home, positive. Went to urgent care, instant test, positive. And that was when we were sure I had COVID. So I had COVID. It was, but I'm like mostly better now, except for the taste. I still can't taste things all the way. I can taste them more than I could a few days ago, but I can't taste them all the way.
So
here I am.
it's starting to come back.
Yeah, it's starting to come back.
That's good.
So they say, you lose your smell and your taste, and you intellectually understand what that means. Everybody understands, but it's fucking wild when it happens. It's weird. Like I was eating, I think it was Saturday afternoon because it didn't happen right away. Saturday afternoon, I was eating an apple with peanut butter, which I tend to eat a lot. And I was on like the third piece and I thought to myself, I don't think I taste this. And like you can taste the tartness of the apple, but that's it. Like salty things, I can taste that it's salty, or spicy things, I can taste that it's spicy, but that's about it. But it started coming back more yesterday. So I'm okay. It was rough for a couple days.
Sorry to interrupt. I don't want Sixers Adam to get COVID, but if he did, I would like a new food list from Sixers Adam of what
tasteless food list.
Tasteless food list.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, man. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah. Everybody wants to know. Yes, I was vaccinated and boosted. So yes.
Hard to know when the booster like efficiency hits, when that is like you're in the clear type of thing. I'm also boosted, but
yeah, I don't know that we're ever all in the clear, 100%. But like the good thing was it was bad for, I would say Thursday and Friday, when the worst part, it felt like a cold. I never had a temperature the entire time, never had an elevated temperature. But Thursday and Friday, my head started to hurt and like I got the flu body aches and I was so tired. I was sleeping like all day. And they offered me, so I don't have a regular doctor up here. I just went to urgent care. And when I was there for the second appointment, she offered me the antibody infusion. And I was like, well, should I do it? And she was like, well, it seems like you don't feel very well. You should give it a try. And I felt like way better the day after that. So if they offer that to you, it seems to be different in different areas, like whether they will do that, whether you're high risk or not. I'm not like high risk. But they offered it to me at urgent care and I took it, and it's like a half an hour of an IV, and then they make you hang around for an hour to make sure you don't have an allergic reaction. But it's basically just like lab created antibodies, like the ones that your body creates with the vaccine, and it's supposed to keep the virus away from the cells. And it made a big difference. I felt like way better the next day.
Did you feel like a kinship with Ben, Joel and Matisse?
Yes, because they are health and safety protocols, as am I. Yeah. And we haven't heard anything about Matisse, right? About like
almost nothing. They're so vague about it, and I get, I guess why they don't want to say everything, but it's all very vague. And Doc was like,
he doesn't pay attention to it.
Yeah, he's like, I don't pay attention to it. It's just like, I don't know, paperwork or something like that. He wasn't being very clear about what it was, but it seems like it's gone on forever. It seems like this is taking a very long time. I've had to watch a lot of Embiid-less basketball, and I'm over it. I'm ready to not do that anymore.
And last Sixers COVID thing, or last me COVID thing, be careful out there. I honestly think one of the things that made me like more vulnerable was the fact that I don't fucking sleep ever, and I just go and go and go and go and go, and I wear myself out, and I think it made it worse. But be safe out there. Get vaccinated. Yada yada yada. The Sixers thing that was weird is that Doc said Embiid had to test negative twice, but
Yeah, I
that
think
can't be.
they all do. Yeah.
No, I don't. You can test positive for like weeks after getting it. I think maybe that's
I
to
think they need you to register 2 negative tests before they can put you back in.
I think it's a time period or 2 negative tests. Like, I don't think it can just be 2 negative tests because it can be weeks and weeks and weeks before you test negative. Like, I think maybe it's to come back before 14 days or 10 days or something, but I don't think it's just 2 negative tests because you can test positive after you're not contagious anymore. Like, I can't believe we're doing a whole COVID show again, but
Yeah. How do they know? I've done this before, but how do people know you're not contagious? Like, people say that all the time about like just regular sicknesses before COVID, being like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm not contagious. I can be here." And it's like, "Fuck you! No, you don't. You don't know."
well,
You're
don't
in there like talking to the molecules in there. You're looking in your throat and being like, "Nope, none of them are going to give them to anybody else." It's all
But-
everyone's just like,
but
"Why?"
from what I read, after 10 days, it's pretty difficult. That's why, like, that's the number from the onset of symptoms or whatever. 10 days seems to be the number. And if you're asymptomatic, I think they say from the moment you tested positive, but whatever. Here we are. We're back.
We're back.
Embiid not, Matisse not. Hopefully they're doing well. We don't know.
Yeah, sounding like Tobias is back.
Yeah.
Was not doing well,
Sort of.
but bounced back pretty quick. Seemed to be as he was before, playing his Tobias game, doing Tobias stuff.
The Apple Podcast 5-star review. Yes, I'm back, so it's back. 2,955 5-star ratings on our way to 3,000. This one comes from Rotor Proprietorship. 5 stars from a daughter who should have been a son. My family was hoping I'd be a boy. To make up for being born a female, I follow my father's sports team with a passion, so he still has a child to bond over sports with. I have pretty much given trash takes my entire life on the Sixers until listening to the Ricky. I talk about your analysis with my dad after every podcast, and he says he's impressed that I finally have begun to grasp basketball. Thank you for takes that are both intelligent and funny. We also thoroughly enjoy the mailbag and non-basketball content. So aside from the daughter who should have been a son, which obviously your father is happy that you're a daughter, at least you get to bond with your dad. Sixers lose 5 in a row. No Joel Embiid, finally caught up with them. Andre Drummond, to a certain extent, has turned, into a pumpkin, back into Andre Drummond. The offense still rated pretty highly. They still had moments. They had moments versus Indiana. They had moments versus the Raptors. No moments versus the Jazz. But it's just too much to overcome. They can't guard anybody without Embiid there.
Yes. I mean, they're missing, especially with Danny, they're arguably missing their 4 best defensive players.
Yeah.
And that is tough to come back from. Yeah, it's been bad. I mean, the Utah game sucked, but it's just kind of things like teams are not meant to go on like this without so many of their best players. Andre Drummond is fine in his role, and he has good games and he has bad games, but obviously a team where Andre Drummond is the starting center, as we've seen for the last 8+ years, is not like a success story. No one's thrilled about that. Yeah. But in his role, he is, he gives you sometimes good stuff, sometimes less good stuff. I think, I mean, it's we're getting into like the meat of the season where they just got to like rack up some wins, and it was nice that they won some. They battled in a bunch of those games, the Knicks game, the Pacers game. They're all blend together at this point, but like it would have been nice had they stolen 1 or 2. It really would have been nice. They didn't. They've lost 5 in a row, but I think everyone gets it. Like it's as a team, it's not like you're like, hey, it's okay if we lose these games. Like no one's thinking that, and Doc's not coaching that way. But it's a long season, and this is going to happen. And I'm hoping that Embiid, this is a sneaky fresh legs thing. Obviously, that is everyone who has Mike Levin in fantasy would rack up points on fresh legs takes categories. So that's something I'm looking forward to. But really, the thing that matters the most is Maxey. Like over the last couple weeks, everything that every way that the Sixers have been playing without Embiid kind of doesn't really matter, except for whether or not like Maxey is taking a step forward, and he is, and that's good. And even though the losses sucked, it's a big deal.
What do you think from a Maxey perspective he is taking the biggest step forward at? Like, what is the part of his game, if you had to pick one, that you say this has made the biggest difference?
I think the jump shot looks good and confident. I think he added a lot of strength. I think he knows how he can get his shots off a little bit. He looks confident taking it anywhere. I think he's improved as there's a Newbeck article about Maxey as a passer a lot. And I think he has improved as a passer, although he doesn't extend his vision that much. He doesn't take many risks with the pass, and I'd be willing to allow him to do that more. I think he just looks like really comfortable out there and really like he belongs. And he has some sizzle to his game. He can get where he wants to. He's fast enough to get places. And like everybody on the team recognizes that pretty much him with the ball in his hands is the best chance that they have. Like Seth deferred to him the other night, and it's like Seth has been so hot this season. He had a tough game against Utah, obviously, but for him to be like, yeah, this is the guy that's gonna like give us the best chance of getting an open look or a good shot, I think it's a big deal. And that's pretty unexpected. Even though I was high on him, pretty unexpected for a second-year player drafted as a freshman at 21, thanks to Mike Muscala. Especially if that he would take this big of a leap already.
Especially after the first few games. Like, it took him a while to warm up, and then it took him in games to warm up. Like this season he hasn't been lights out since the beginning, Like I think he has gotten better with more playing time and, allowed himself to ease in. And honestly, the fact that 25 isn't there has given him a chance to have the ball in his hands more, which gives him more usage and all that kind of stuff. So I have a theory I want to present to you, and then I want to get to your tweet, your tweet, 3-tweet thing about Maxey trade scenarios or lack thereof. After we talk about our presenting sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook, Sixers have hung tough odds-wise, even through the losing streak. Plus 950 to win the Eastern Conference. Nets still the favorite at plus 120. Bucks at plus 360. The Heat, who have looked pretty good, uneven but pretty good, at plus 600. And Sixers sit at plus 2,000 to win the title, which is ninth. DraftKings is our only sportsbook. And if you like football, of course you like football, you can get some free bets. Now, when you bet on any NFL game this week with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, if you bet $1 on either team to score, if you bet $1 on either team to score, you win $100 in free bets when a team scores. So all you got to do is bet $1 if you're a new user on a team to score any points. When they do, you get $100 in free bets. Don't worry. If you can't use the sportsbook yet in your state, if it's not legal in your state yet, New York very soon, actually, DraftKings still there for you. You can play for huge cash prizes all season long in their daily fantasy sports contests. All new customers there, a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with your first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code RTRS. Bet $1 on either team to score and win $100 in free bets. If they score, you score. With promo code RTRS this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, PA only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. Let me present to you this scenario before we get to your tweet. Team young player, puts the ball in young player's hands. Young player excels, scores points, gets assists, gets rebounds. Team loses, but young player continues to excel. Young player maybe raises trade value and becomes a more important piece in a trade scenario. Could some of that be going on here? Could we, though Maxey is better, it isn't necessarily currently leading to wins. Are we seeing a
without
scenario?
Embiid,
Yeah,
it was when Embiid was there.
sure. He wasn't scoring 30 when Embiid was there, though. I guess my thought is that isn't it possible that this could make Maxey make it more likely that he's traded because he's more valuable? Just a thought.
Maybe. I mean, I think that if teams were interested, they would have already seen the upside that he showed last year. And this is a step forward. So this makes them more appealing and willing to trade for him for sure.
Mhm.
I just think that it's just not that often that a guy is this good this early in his career on a rookie deal. And the Sixers, with how much money they have tied up in other guys, I'm just like, you can't just be giving away that guy as in like a Ben trade with a sweetener, you know? He's on the path to be as good as De'Aaron Fox, and I would say with the jumper, to me, better. And that's hard to do. That's hard to get on a guy that cheap. He's easily right now profiling as a future max contract guy. And I really love watching him play. I think he has some intangible quality to him that his teammates really love watching him, love playing with him. And just, there's an energy that he plays with that people just like gravitate towards. And I don't want to trade him. Especially after how exhausting. We're going to talk about it. Obviously, the whole Simmons situation has been to end it and be like, hey, also we traded this really fun guy out of it. To not just feel, okay, great, it's over. That would just really bum me out. I think it bum a lot of teams out. I think there's something about smallish guards that really gets a crowd going.
Sure.
And the Sixers haven't had that since Iverson, obviously. And it's just thrilling to watch him and watch him get better and watch him figure stuff out and play hard on defense. He's made a couple really, really nice defensive plays this season, even though it's obviously not perfect. But he's just he's really good. He's really cheap. He's young. Everybody seems to love playing with him. I don't
include him in a star trade.
It would really depend. It would genuinely depend. I wouldn't. I would do whatever it took to. He's easily for me aside from Embiid the second most valuable asset on this team that I would be as reluctant to trade as anything.
Well, it would depend on what, like Lillard or Beal, you would do it.
I think Beal's pretty much out of the realm of possibility. I think that they look pretty good. They lost to Charlotte tonight, but I think they are intent on riding that out as much as they can. They have a new coach, a bunch of new players. I don't think that's possible this season.
I'm just trying to get at the level of
I don't know. If it's Lillard, I would offer as basically everything else. I would say, Matisse or Shake or, any of those guys. It's just, he's really, really good. I think he on his own right now without Ben Simmons could be the kind of guy that you would trade a star for. Okay, a package. If say that he was on Minnesota, and looking this good, then we as the Sixers would be looking at that kind of player and going okay, well, that's a package to build around. And then Taurean Prince and contracts and shit. We're looking at Tyrese Halliburton as a possibility right now in Sacramento. It's I'd rather have Maxey going forward, and I love Halliburton. I think there's a lot. I think that kind of young player that's already this good in your world, I'm less high on him than you are, but Tyler Hero is another example of that. When you have that guy that you think could be a top 3 player on a really good team, and on this contract with this much room for growth, I think you really, unless you're trading that guy for a star, then I don't think you're doing it. And the fact that we would be trading him with Ben Simmons, who is already, we already know several All-Star games, etc. I think that's just like that's a lot to trade. That is a lot to trade for anybody, even if it's Dame, who is having a bad year and ostensibly wants to give quotes for the rest of his life, saying he loves Portland and wants to be the 7th seed for the rest of his life.
Well, you know what I'd rather Damian Lillard just say? Like, he should just say he's happy. Like, he's happy there. He wants to win there. He likes living there. Like, that's enough. I kind of don't like when people are like, well, you should get out of there and want to win. Like, he's happy where he lives. You know, he's happy where he lives. He's happy with the town.
But we can make fun of him for that. We can make fun of him for him like settling for that kind of thing. He can be happy somewhere else and set himself up for a better chance to win championships. But
I don't know. You should write for a more popular show. Why are you fucking writing for that show? You should write for a different show. Like, I don't know. Anyway, I guess the Maxey has been great, and he has been a lot of fun to watch. When I watch him and I think about his future, what I like have pause with in terms of you talking about him being like a max level player is what exactly is he? Because he's not a 28 or 30 point a game scorer. He's like, I just don't think he is. And he doesn't really have that sort of like natural point guard vision that you started like talking about. He's better this year than he was last year, but he's certainly like learning that.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder at his size, like, what is he really? And like, is he really like a max level player, or is he a superstar 6-man kind of guy or something? Just because of like the makeup of his game. Like, that's what I sort of wonder about,
I think when you look at it's hard to know. Like, obviously I watch a ton of college basketball and I love the draft and I love looking at these guys and like projecting them forward.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to know. And you don't really do that much outside of the moment they're drafted. It's not, people don't talk as much about like what is, a 3rd or 4th year player making the leap. Like Anunoby is a guy that's doing it right now. And we'll see how high he can get. But with Maxey, it's like you look at how hard he's worked and how much he's grown from year to year. And you start to go like, well, maybe what we thought was his ceiling because of his work ethic. Gym rat, lives in the gym, real hooper, etc. Then maybe that ceiling is higher because of how much he wants it and how willing he is to put the work in and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think
That's
it's
fair.
crazy. Like, on the one hand, like it's tough. I think you were giving him like this isn't criticism so much as, but like he's not a Jalen Green type. Just put him in the gym and just let him go one-on-one and he'll score 35 and whatever. But I think he can do those things. I think he's just more unselfish than those guys tend to be. But he can also put his head down and get to the rim and not make a ton of, not only set guys up out of pick and roll, whether that's diagnosing where the big is and if there's a lob or if there's a swing to the weak side or whatever it is. But I think he's capable of doing those things. I think he's capable of improving in those areas and doing kind of whatever the team needs him to do. I think he can be an end of game guy. I think he can be a push the ball in fast break guy. He definitely has room to improve, especially ball handling wise, mixing up his moves, getting a little bit more on balance and slowing down. But he's got a knack for scoring in the mid range and around the rim that most guys his size don't have. And he's small, but he's not like crazy small. And he's putting on weight and he's capable of still doing that and being sturdy on the defensive end. So if he becomes like Kyle Lowry, I think that's huge. I think I think there's some like younger Kemba Walker to his game. I think he's just a really, really good player. And
I think he's like Kemba Walker, though, is like, I don't know. Kemba Walker popped as a scorer to me. Like just had a spring to him that I don't see with Maxey.
Well,
You see
Maxey
some-
gets by anybody. Maxey gets by anybody at all. He just does it in a different way. He has the floater is like an interesting shot that you don't really see. It seems like a ton of guys have floaters now, young guys especially, but you haven't seen it. You didn't see Kemba really doing too much of that. But Kemba was not a good shooter coming out. That was the concern with Kemba out of college, was that is he ever going to shoot enough to do it? And he's probably more athletic, like vertically than Maxey is, and he's probably a more gifted,
a better ball handler
at this point.
Yeah.
Just like niftier in getting by people. But I think there's a lot of similarities, and I think if I think the defensive acumen of Lowry is obviously something to shoot for, and it's not where he's at right now, but I think you hope that that's what he's going for. And I just kind of trust him to become that guy. I think he's just really, really, really good. And also, like, of course, things that go into that tweet are the things that we've been talking about for, online for however long I've been online, which is like, you fall in love with these guys. You fall in love with the young guys that you have, and you want them to succeed, and you like your young guys more than you like somebody else's,
for sure,
retreads or whatever. And so Maxey feels like we got him. He's like, the city's falling in love with him. He's falling in love with the city. It's like, I just wanted to work out. And especially it all makes it easier when here's a guy that pairs well with Joel as he improves his jumper, as he's a guy that can score the ball in the fourth quarter when it's harder to just feed the ball into the post. And also, it's not like Maxey's going to have to be, he's never going to be the best player on this team. Whether it's Embiid or Tobias, if he lasts longer or whatever it is. It's just like, I in a world where people are like, hey,
he's already better
Ben
than Tobias. He's already better than Tobias.
Certainly, the ceiling is higher than Tobias's is.
Tobias
gives you what he gives you, man. I appreciate Tobias. We acknowledge Tobias. We look over Tobias's shortcomings. It is what it is. We're happy to have it. But it's nice to know that I lost my train of thought. But like Maxey's never going to be the guy to be like a number one option on a championship team. He just has to be, keep getting better at the things he gets better at, and let Joel cover up the rest.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's not going to have to be a number one option on a championship team if you go and get a number one option on a championship team.
No, for sure. I hear you. It's just like, especially after people are saying this, I was going to say, especially after people are saying, and every fucking national broadcast, Reggie Miller is doing was like, you have to trade Ben Simmons now, and you have to trade him to the West. And it's like this like arbitrary thing, as if like we'll never face him, and as if we're like, oh, we'll turn down a better offer from like Indiana or whatever.
Ooh,
we play him 3 times a year.
We're not going to have to face him in the playoffs, are we?
It's just nonsense. People just say shit. There's some things that people just like say. Reggie Miller also said like too many quick shots, and it's just like there's just things that are like a list of like just stuff, and they're just like saying them because it's like, well, it's time to say one of the things on the list of stuff. And it's like, that's what one of them is. Ridiculous. And I don't really dislike Reggie as much as I used to, but that was particularly annoying. But like, if people are saying, hey, just trade Ben Simmons, just get him out of here, just like, please just trade him, whatever, then I think it's, if that's as good for morale, then I'm like, well, morale for me and what I want in this team is them to not trade Tyrese Maxey, because I really like watching him. I think he's really good, and he has the potential to keep improving as he has.
Before we get to an update on the situation with good old 25, I'll tell you about our other sponsor. Well, we have tons of sponsors, but like our other one for this pod, that is Seat Geek. Now that I'm like Mr. fucking antibody between all the vaccines and having COVID, and I'm going to go to every concert available. What do I want to look for tickets for? Tyler, the Creator, Justin Bieber, or LCD Sound System? Your pick, Mike.
Of those,
yeah,
I would be an LCD Sound System guy.
Okay,
but I don't dislike
the other
two.
So LCD Sound System playing at Brooklyn Steel Saturday, December 4th. This is actually very expensive, but this is why SeatGeek is good, right? SeatGeek, you want to get your butt out, get to concerts, get to sporting events, so-and-so. SeatGeek is the only ticketing app you need, the only ticketing website you need. They take all of the ticket sites, aggregate them into one place, and then just tell you if the price is good or not. Now, LCD Sound System at Brooklyn Steel, which is a small place, the best price you're getting is $322 a ticket at Brooklyn Steel. That is, it's not even rating the deals on this one. Hold on, let's see if it'll rate the deals now, because they're all very, very expensive, all the way up to $715 a ticket for LCD sound system. Let's try Bieber. Bieber, let's say I want 2 tickets. He is playing where? He is playing the Madison Square Garden. Here we go. Section 221, row 16, $108. That is a 5.0, which is a good deal. But $112 in section 221, row 3, that's an amazing deal, 9.6. Anyway, what SeatGeek does, it takes all the tickets, puts them in one site, and lets you know whether it's a good deal or not with the deal score, 1 to 10, or the color, red to green. Just use SeatGeek. You don't Google what other ticket sites to use. Just use SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com or download the app and use code RTRS for $20 off your first purchase. Whether it's Justin Bieber or LCD Sound System or Tyler the Creator, whatever. I bought my first concert tickets for fucking ever this week. I'm going to see Gang of Youths in May at Brooklyn Steel. But SeatGeek, code RTRS for $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek, RTRS for $20 off your first purchase. All right. So here's what we had this week with 25. Simmo the Savage. Rich Paul talked to Shams and said that the Sixers fining him has actually made it worse, and that the quotes are fantastic. I truly believe the fines, the targeting, the negative publicity shined on the issue. That's very unnecessary and has furthered the mental health issues. Either you help him or come out and say he's lying. Which one is it? In this case, we have to get Ben help and not put finances above mental health. I understand contractual obligations and I hold myself accountable on this business. But if someone is telling you something, we can no longer turn a blind eye in today's world. This is no longer about a trade. This is about finding a place where we can help him get back to his mental strength and get back on the floor. And then they find him again for not going on this road trip. So that's the update.
I mean, yes. We obviously were late to this. Other people have already talked about it, but I mean, this just fucking sucks. This whole thing just blows. This is the worst of, I was going to say humanity, but the worst of sports. This is why no one is excited about anything. Rich Paul is an agent. He is doing agent shit. It is, agents are agents for a reason. It's just like, it's whatever you got to do for your client, that's what you got to do. And they're now on the it's not about money. Like, of course it's about fucking money, dude. Like,
but that's what you're complaining about. You're
complaining about them not paying him. That's what you're complaining about. When last time that he said that they weren't gonna pay him, you said it was war. So yes, it is. And like, this is, I get frustrated a lot of the times, and this happened for the process itself and a bunch of other things where, like, as we're living through some event or some storyline, and the people that are not paying attention to every beat of the storyline will then sort of just check in months later, whatever, and then the storyline will have crystallized to be like, the Sixers were mean to Ben Simmons, so this happened, and now and then he claimed, he was going through a mental health crisis, and the Sixers were fining him for that. And it's just like, well, that's not exactly the order of those things happened. Like, Ben really wants, and his reps really want to get him out of Philadelphia. And they tried to do a number of things to get him out of there. They tried to just tell them. They tried to force their hand. They tried to make the entire city of Philadelphia angry at him by leaking various stories about how much they hate everybody and they hate the city and all these players. They told the other players, don't show up to LA to try to convince me to come back. I don't want to. For what was very obvious, we all watched it. We all saw it. He had a terrible whole series, but especially those last couple games. And there were a couple, honestly, negligible comments. Negligible from Embiid. Pretty stupid about Doc. fine.
But
But like
Yeah,
clearly, like this is what happened. We all watched it. If anyone said like after that game immediately was like, yes, he can be the best player in a championship team right now, like that's insane. Like we just watched it. It was bad. And as much as Ben slightly owned up to it in the moment, he never did after the fact, and Embiid and Doc's comments overtook that. So it's frustrating to be like, people be like, oh, well, we just all should be supporting Ben, when like he has incurred, this comes from Ben and his camp. All of this stuff has come from it, and it's just like, and they've gone to the press many times to make this more of a national story, and then his agent, who is allowed to be an agent. They're born slimy agent shit. I had agents. They were slimy. This is how it goes. Nothing against it. It's their job. But like for him to go, hey, all the talking about it in the press and all the like the threats and all the like talk, and it's nothing about money, that's actually hurting him. It's like, well, you're doing that. You're saying all that shit. And then you're saying like all the things that I'm doing is hurting him, and that you should feel bad about it. It's just nonsense, man. It's all nonsense. It's bleak. This is not fun. I was texting with Mike O'Connor about it earlier. I get why Daryl like doesn't care about this stuff, because he's not going to be judged on what is going to be judged on the outcome, not like, oh, you traded him 3 months before you could have traded him or whatever. Like no one's going to care about this middle distance. It's the same thing from the Colangelo Bernagate stuff. It's like, once he gets fired, he will have been fired. Once Ben's traded, he will have been traded, and it's like, okay, so you just got to get the best outcome for him. But I think at this point, like, just let him stay home, and you guys can get into various lawsuits about who should be paid or whatever the fuck after. I don't really give a shit if he gets paid or if the Sixers pay him. It's not my money. I don't care. But like the idea that Ben is going to come back to the team and then play well enough to resuscitate his value more, and while not like the idea that's going to happen while not tanking both his value and the entire team dynamic, which inexplicably is pretty good in spite of the fact, aside from the injuries and COVID and everything. It is very unlikely. There's like a 1% chance of that happening, that if he plays, he would play better and well enough to make it seem like, oh, it's all good. Like actually better than he was before. Time to raise those prices on the trade, and not like just make everybody more miserable than they are. Like just let him stay home. Just let's be done with it, and then nobody mention it until a trade happens.
Well, and it's been that way since the start. Like since the whole fucking act of trying to get him in here, there was never a real situation in which in which there wasn't like more risk in him playing, I think, than him not playing. I do wonder if there is something at play here, like league wide, because remember, the Players Association has been very quiet.
Yeah.
The league has been very quiet. And whether, not that the league is telling the Sixers to do this, but I think on some level, they need to set a boundary of, you can't just, with 4 years left on your contract, say that you're not playing there anymore. Like you can request a trade, you can do all of those things, but you can't do this. And the fact that the NBPA and the league have been so quiet leads me to believe that is one of the factors at play. And we've been the December, hopefully the December 15th thing is the final thing that will release this, because I don't see his value going up or down. The people talk about, oh, they played well, his value went down or up. It's nothing. He's just fucking sitting there.
Yeah.
So
you're right. There's someone who believes that he can be helpful to your team and could improve, or you're like that. I'm not touching that guy.
Yeah. So somebody sent us an email. Joe says, hey, this email brought to you by Stateside Urban Craft Vodka, Black Label Bourbon, available now.
My dad got some. Send me a picture.
Oh, did he? Mm-hmm. Black Label Bourbon's good shit. Available now. Sponsors the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe. Black Label Bourbon, vodka sodas, statesidevodka.com. Got to be 21. All right. Joe says, first of all, thank you for everything you do for all of us as we get through the worst time of being a Sixers fan possibly ever, and we spend another week talking about whether or not we're going to pay some above average NBA player a hefty check to show up. My brother and I have been to a ton of events with the pod over the years and always enjoy the community. Try to stay sane. Second, I wanted to bring, and this happened online, that's why I brought it up, bubbled up as well. I want to bring an interesting trade partner that I don't feel like has gotten much spotlight. Get your thoughts. The New Orleans Pelicans seem like a total dumpster fire currently. Zion can't get healthy or in shape, and there's swirls that he and his family want out of New Orleans already. The team is a whopping 1-11, and there are plenty of rumors about a fight between Alvin Gentry and David Griffin and Griffin's
Which I love.
job security.
I like that.
Yes.
I did like that.
Yeah. My question, wouldn't it make sense for them to consider blowing it up completely, bring in a new GM, lots of draft picks, reconstruct a new team, and figure out how to build a winner? At this point, the team can't even say they have a superstar in Zion. This feels like a team that would either take a flyer on Ben or be willing to be part of a 3-team trade, yada, yada, yada. Would you trade him for, I think we've asked this, would you trade him for, can you imagine trading him for Ingram, Brandon Ingram straight up, just like the hilarity of that. Do you think of them as a real trade partner at all?
I mean, maybe. I mean, like, they just hired Willie Green.
Yeah.
They just hired Willie Green. And Zion's health concerning. I don't know why David Griffin still has a job. Seems like a guy that's really conned a lot of people into thinking that he knows what he's doing. They had a bad offseason. I'm not an Ingram guy. I don't think he's very good. I think he is, like, he's obviously better at some things than Tobias, but I think they're about the same type of player. I don't think they fit well together. But, like, would Ingram help this team? Probably right now, as opposed to, as opposed to Ben. Would I get off the ride? Would I get off the worst ride of my life for Ingram? Maybe. I'm not thrilled about it. I'm not a fan. He's improved his passing ability. He does have some vision. He tries on defense sometimes. He's long. Would help probably on the defensive glass. I don't really believe in the jumper. I don't believe in him in the playoffs really, but he might be okay. It might be fine. I'm not thrilled about it.
The YouTube.
I also like talking with Michael Connor asked, like, does waiting longer help? Obviously, the December deadline, the December point in which players sign this offseason are eligible to be traded, which is not like, oh, the Sixers are targeting a guy that was signed this offseason, but more like they need that contract to match up with other contracts so that the trade is possible. MOC was asking, does waiting longer help? Like, does Daryl waiting longer between now and the trade deadline help? And it's like, I think the answer is honestly yes. I mean, yes, it could. Like, the idea of like, oh, there's no difference between now or December and February. It's like, you've seen teams go through these stretches and like shit happens to teams. Like Sacramento maybe decides to put Fox out there. Fox Maxey is an interesting pairing I've been thinking about a little bit lately. Maybe Minnesota decides like, we got to double down on Towns, which means we need a guy that can do some other stuff. Maybe we'd be willing to put Anthony Edwards on the table. Unlikely, but maybe Jaylen Brown becomes more available. Maybe it's Ingram. Maybe like a guy like DeJounte Murray, who's taken a decent leap forward, has improved enough to maybe be a centerpiece of a deal with a couple first-round picks. I don't know. It's not that I like all of those guys or think that it's worthwhile, but it's very clear at this point that Daryl has a list of players he would get off the worst ride of his life for. And I do, as frustrating as it is, respect him sticking to it. So,
yeah, well, I mean, at this point, you might as well wait to see what happens, I guess.
Yeah.
But
it sucks. And every 2 weeks I say like, well, it's not going to get worse than this. And it's been wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. I want it to be over. I would like to move on. I don't think they should just trade him for whatever, as like some stupid ass national analysts think, because they're fine right now. He's not there. I don't think that they should bring him in. I think the only way this gets worse for the team itself, can get plenty worse for me as a person that's invested in this bullshit. But the only way that's worse is if they try to bring him in again and make him play, and he just like loafs around on the court. Like that's the best. And then Doc has to like pull him out of a game midway through and like in Detroit or something. It's like, get out of there. You got to go to the back. And then they get an argument on the sidelines. Like, what are we doing? Don't let him, don't
be a great
play.
pod.
We don't want him to do that. What if he gets hurt? Like that would suck. This all sucks. Just like let it go. Stop trying. End it.
So the first thing I asked before we get to the mailbag, the first thing I asked the doctor, you know what? I'm going to see if you know this question. Doctor's like, you have COVID. And I'm like, shit. She goes, do you have any questions? What is my first question? Do you know?
No.
My first question was, can I go near my dog? Can my dog get COVID?
That's fair.
And she looked at me like I was a fucking lunatic. And she goes, I don't know what the advisement on dogs is right now. So I Googled it and it was basically like, stay away from your dog. So my wife is not here at the house. So the dog who starts on his big barker, Rebel, who starts on his big barker at night, and then midway through the night climbs into bed with me, was not allowed to climb into bed with me, had to stay on his big barker when we're watching TV or across the couch, all that kind of stuff. But he's lucky. You know, he gets to sleep in probably a better bed than I do. Big Barker is the only real dog bed on the market. BigBarker.com/Ricky. That's where you go. You get your dog a real bed. And then if you get COVID, you make sure the dog sleeps on that bed. This dog is engineered by experts to make sure your dog's joints are fully supported. And I say it now. I'll say it. I've said it a million times. Your job as a dog owner is to make that dog's life fucking amazing. Fucking amazing. That the dog does not live a very long time, gives you only love, gives you only joy. The least you could do is make that dog's life fucking amazing. And to sleep on anything less than an amazing bed would suck for that dog. The beds they sell in pet stores, not amazing. Big Barkers, amazing. Proved by a study by Penn Vet, makes your dog's joints more supported, less likely to suffer through the pains of arthritis, keeps younger dogs more active, and keeps older dogs going like they were young. BigBarker.com/Ricky is where you go to get the Big Barker with the processed pup patches. 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. 1-year at-home trial. They'll give you a free total 100% refund plus shipping if you don't like it, and handmade in the USA. Big Barker dog beds. Okay. This comes from, hold on. This comes from C. Scott. I don't know what the C stands for. He's just Scott. He actually lives in Utah, but he's from South Jersey. The email starts like this. Low energy Tobias Harris per 36. 0.1 steals. 0.4 blocks. 3.2 free throw attempts. 1.3 offensive rebounds. 4.7 shots contested, second to last on the team. 1.7 threes contested, last on the team. 1.2 deflections, last on the team. 0.0 box outs on offense, the only starter with 0. 0.9 net rating, third worst on the team. Third, just per 36. It has to be from Basketball Reference, I assume.
Basketball Reference doesn't track offensive rebounding box outs.
Well, NBA.com does. NBA.com does. 0.9 net rating, third worst on the team behind Shake and B-Ball Paul. 110.8 defensive rating, second to last on the team. 111.7 offensive rating, eighth on the team. Basketball question. Are you guys okay with a team leader like Harris doing so poorly in effort and hustle stats? Toby is now the 4th best offensive option on the team behind Joel, Maxey, and Curry. Toby is the least Philly player in the city, but he's such a sweet guy. What are your thoughts, Mike?
I mean, I'd have
low
to look
energy
at
Toby.
The numbers more. I like low energy Toby. I don't think it's surprising that when guys have more responsibility on one end, they do less on the other. And Toby has more responsibility without Ben, and so he's doing. If he is doing less, I don't buy the 0.0 box outs. I think that's very bizarre. So I don't necessarily trust the stuff. But
yeah.
I mean that's not his strength for sure.
Non-basketball question. Do you stock baby wipes or a similar product on your bathrooms for those with troublesome movements?
Plumbing is an issue with some baby wipes. So
With all baby wipes.
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
it's a dicey proposition.
You got to get the bidet and use baby wipes in industrial toilets in you know, but do not leave out baby wipes for like, look, here's the thing. If you got shit on your hand, there's no way you would take a dry piece of paper, wipe off the shit, and be like, all right, I'm done. It's clean. You got to get a bidet. You got to. This comes from Rob. Hey, Spike and Mike. I had the thought to email the pod in the past, but I never thought I had a good enough reason. But now I have a legitimate question. I'm watching the pod on YouTube right now because I can't wait for it to go to Spotify. And I noticed Mike is wearing a Coughlin hoodie. Is that a Coughlin like in Wilkes-Barre Coughlin sweatshirt? If so, what's the connection? I only ask because it's a school close to me. Anyways, I love the pod. Would listen if you did one 7 days a week, no pressure.
Oh, it was my buddy Doug's sweatshirt that he got from like it was just a hand-me-down sweatshirt that I liked. No connections. It says Quinn on the back. So
Doug Mann?
Yes. So
yes.
if inexplicably someone is Quinn that went to that high school, I have your sweatshirt and I wear it.
From PJ, hey guys. I know the trade scenarios have been discussed ad nauseum, but isn't the inevitable outcome a swap for Kyrie? It feels like a Morey move. This has been Michael Connor's theory the whole time.
Sure, yeah.
It feels like a Morey move to trade for the super talented player despite concerns about his effect on team chemistry, potential free agency this summer, and his overall vibe. Assuming our best case scenario alternatives are trading for players like Fox or Ingram, would you welcome a trade for Kyrie despite all the red flags?
I don't know, man. I mean,
Whoa.
guys not getting vaccinated is very strange. Very, very strange that he's really just like sitting at home, not doing it, refusing to do it. He's taking a stand. Pretty unclear what the stand is or why, but he's taking it. And if he's not going to play, then he's not going to play. Like, and I think that if he does get vaccinated, then Brooklyn would welcome him back and then not be dying to trade him. So it's hard to imagine a scenario in which like he would play for the Sixers, but not Brooklyn.
So he could play just so the rules in New York, though, for what it's worth, are he could play in New York as a visiting player, but not as a home player.
Which is so incredibly bizarre.
Yes.
We live in such a stupid ass fucking time. Fucking crypto.com, Staples Center. Just insanely stupid. And I hope the Sixers feel even more stupid that it's on their jersey. It's fucking losers, man. So many goddamn losers. Unbelievable. We live in a stupid time. We're making these.
Let me ask you this: with
speculating on whether or not a weird clause in New York that allows visitors to play with unvaccinated but not home teams. It's so stupid. I don't know. If it was Ben for Kyrie and we're not talking about the vaccine, whatever. Sure, at this point I'd do it. Fine. It's a total face turn, and we get more Celtics guys, and we just get up all Celtics guys, all the Celtics that we hated. We can just get them. Great. First, we get the Clover. Let's get the fucking leprechaun guy that they have at half court. Put him at the 2 guard.
Ainge, assistant coach.
Yeah, Ainge and his bad heart. Like, bring him over here. Let's do it. I don't know, man. Whatever. This sucks. Everything blows. The Sixers are inexplicably good to watch and fun when everybody's healthy. I don't know how it's happening. I'm enjoying myself still. And Maxey's very fun, and all these guys are fun. But the business storylines and the everything else is just, it's heavy. It weighs heavy on me. This stupid ass team and league, everything.
Non-basketball question. Any thoughts on the impossible beyond fake meats? Do you think it's a fad or the future of food?
I like it. I think it's good. I think I like some. I think I don't like all of them, but some are good. There's a really great plant-based meatball place here that was incredible. That I had one time. It was the best fake meat I've ever had. But I try to use it. I think it's good. I like meat a lot. I like eating it, but I'd like to eat less of it. So
there is a vegan Italian restaurant in West Hollywood that's awesome. I didn't think you could pull off vegan Italian, but they do. Hey, look, like, it's not good for you, but it is better than factory farms and killing animals for food. So I think it will be a future of food, but I don't think it is like I think it is a good bridge to get people to more plant-based things. Plant-based Spike says. From Eric, what is a proper societal punishment for people who, instead of sending one long text /Slack/DM when they have something to tell you or ask you, send a half dozen short messages, one after the other, causing your phone to ding or buzz repeatedly when it could have been accomplished with one single ding or buzz?
I don't mind it. I don't do it
Yeah.
much. Once in a while, I'll do it to like make a point.
Mhm.
Alyssa is making so much noise as she's making breakfast. She's just like banging on pans. It's crazy. Making dinner. It feels like sort of like, I guess my manager does it, and when I get text from her, it like usually means like stuff is happening career-wise, and so I feel like excited, like here it comes, like here's another one, little thing, what's gonna be? So I guess that sort of shades it for me. But if it was people that like I didn't care about, that weren't telling me good news for my career, I guess I would be more frustrated.
So two things. First of all, I do it. And here's the reason I do it. I hate blocks of text. I hate when I get an email and there's no line breaks in it. I hate like 5 lines. Oh, there we go. Abby, CJ puts it on the screen. Spike has this disease, the multiple text disease. I like separate thoughts. I think it's easier to consume than one big text. The second thing is, Eric, who has buzzes or dings on their phones for notifications? Like, when does your phone stop? If I had my phone make noises or buzz every time I got a text or an email or something, it would never fucking stop.
I do.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Although
God.
I turn off John Gonzalez's dog and Colleen's dog, they do not. One of them does not like the dings, so we turned it off when we're around Dasher. But other than that, yes, I have it on.
Oh, I don't. I maybe it's because I get a lot of work email, but I just don't. I look at my phone enough. I'll see it. Final email. This comes from Grant. Is a good one to end with, and his basketball question at the end is amazing. A preface to my non-basketball question is this: recently, a good friend of mine named Eddie bought himself a single gold tooth cap, like a grill, but only for one tooth. The process involved him being sent a mold kit, taking a mold of his top row of teeth, sending it back, and then waiting several weeks for the final product to arrive. It cost him around $150. Although it arrived too late to be worn in his friend's wedding, he was able to wear it to a murder mystery night that my wife and I hosted. His character was a fiery Southern preacher by the name of Reverend Candy. The tooth gave him a slight lisp. After eating a bowl of split pea soup with garlic bread, he realized the gold tooth has gone missing. As we could not find it anywhere in the house, it was assumed that he had swallowed it. The next day, he bought a box of large Ziploc. I'm sorry. I know where this is going. The next day, he bought a box of large Ziploc bags and waited. When the time came to relieve himself, he sat perpendicularly on the toilet so that his weak so that his wiener was still aiming for the bowl, but his booty hole hung over the side. He rolled back over the top of the Ziploc bag and held tight. When all was done, he zipped up the bag and fondled it, feeling through the bag for any sign of gold. No luck. This went on for 4 long days. A burrito bowl with corn came and went, still no gold tooth. And then, when hope was almost as far gone as his dignity, he felt something hard in the bag. He pinched and slid the object to the top like a giant go-gurt, and sure enough, he was reunited with his gold tooth. So my question is this: health concerns on this aside, would you sift through your own shit to find $150 gold tooth? How many, if no, how many $150 gold tooths would you have to be shitting out per week until you harvested them?
Is it it's my shit?
Yes.
Yeah. I would do it.
You
my own
would?
shit? Yeah. Someone else's shit? No. But mine?
Oh God.
We've been through a lot.
I would not. I gag. I can't. And this is great. My basketball question. Do you think Andre Drummond's face looks like Ben Simmons's face?
No.
Look again. There's certainly a similarity. They don't in your head, they don't really look alike, but there is a similarity to their faces. The shape of their face, even like the ears.
I don't see it.
You don't see it?
No.
I'm curious whether listeners see it. I saw it.
No, I don't see it.
All right.
Couple things before we go.
Yeah.
Jaden Springer looking good in the G League. Don't even make a face. Just allow me to have it.
You have it.
He looks good.
Yep.
The fact that he is a playable defensive player already
Oh boy.
makes it easier to stomach a slowly developing offensive game. Fine.
Okay.
Very weird B-ball Paul stuff going on. I don't like that Doc is not trusting him. He obviously makes some mistakes, but we know it's going to net out positive in the long run to play him. Find it very strange that Charles Bassey was getting minutes. Maybe he's I don't know,
more normal.
More normal. Yeah, I think really it is that, just like more normal. But and I don't dislike Bassey, and I think he'll be a fine backup center for a long time, but like not this year probably. Doesn't look very comfortable. But definitely a good shot blocker. And very upsetting Dave Yeager news about his cancer and him stepping away from the team. Just want to obviously express well wishes for that. That is very sad, and it seems like I found it a little weird that he like broke the news on the Woj pod. I guess that's not parsing like criticizing someone with cancer, but yes, it was kind of odd. It was
live on the Woj pod.
No, he released it, like timed it out with the announcement that Woj announced. I just thought it was very strange. Not that it matters. I just thought it was strange. But
Woj on the cancer beat, I guess.
Very odd.
Yeah.
Really an interesting choice. Doesn't have to be that way, it seems.
Has that overshared?
Seems like the guys liked him, and I hope he, beats it and does what he has to do for himself and his family and everything. Very sad.
Yeah. Best wishes to Dave Yeager. And my final thought is I haven't been anywhere but my house and urgent care since last Wednesday, and I lost my wallet.
Oh, no.
With everything in it. Yep. Lost it. Can't find it. It's not at urgent care. It's not in my car. It's not in the oven. It's not in the fridge. It's fucking gone.
Brutal.
And, it's absolutely brutal. Yeah.
CJ asked, Mike said he wouldn't dig his iPhone out of a porta potty. What changed? Because a porta potty, CJ, is other people's shit.
Poop. Yeah.
And if I can catch my own and then sift through it, then that's fine. Also,
isn't all shit the same though?
No.
If you think
Mine
of
is
like,
great.
Okay.
Mine is phenomenal.
You think of like an estimated retail value of like $1,200 for an iPhone versus $150 for a tooth.
I feel like you could get your carrier or whatever, like just give you a new phone, like issue you a new phone. I've never lost my phone. Never had to happen. I assume something could be worked out.
I mean, CJ, the smell of your own farts is different than the smell of somebody else's. I mean, just to talk about the difference between your shit and somebody else's shit, right? I mean,
I think if you like had two bowls in front of you and had to sift through both of them, blind test, but one of them is yours and one of them isn't yours, I don't think you would notice the difference. I haven't done this before, but I don't think you would notice the difference.
I would notice. I could tell.
And
and that's going to be the thing at the next live show. Me sifting through my shit and someone else's shit and determining which is what. So get ready. All right, let's win some games. I'm tired of losing. Let's get him beat back. Come on.
Joel, get back. That's all we got. Be safe out there. And talk to you next time. Wait, who do we play? Oh, Denver tomorrow, right? That's not going to be good. Are you done with TTP?
Yeah, lick face.